please let me know, because that's definitely what I'm here for.
Perfect. This is a great presentation. You know, this entire program and the extension of our CTE program was a priority of our board, and so we love these updates, and we appreciate you coming in and giving these updates to us. So any other board member questions?
Just thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. We are now going to move into the public hearing on the comprehensive plan, followed by citizens' comment period. So these will be presented in two separate items. First, we will do public hearing on the comprehensive plan, and then the citizens' comment period. So I'll open the floor now for the public hearing on the comprehensive plan. If anybody would like to speak on the comprehensive plan, please approach the podium, and speakers are asked to state their name, the district in which they reside, and limit their remarks to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Clemens, staff, citizens, Howard Maury, Petsworth District. When was the last time you presented your annual assessment findings to the public for review outside of the state requirement? Also, is it available on your website? As I review your vision statement and core values, do you believe you are leaning from the state for a socialist or Marxist method of community indoctrination? When will you bring all essential trades back to the Gloucester instead of busing across the river to achieve what we had a few years ago? The technology plan and needs assessment are never discussed in open forum with the parent citizens, so we can understand your shortfall, why, and help you with suggestions and experience to improve upon your required product. I find your impact program disturbing with 200 plus expelled or long-term suspended students. What have you as a board and administration done to evaluate these conditions at the elementary level before they expand to the secondary level? What cost does this program provide success, and why is it not found in the budget as a line item, including grant funds, our tax dollars? The citizen must know also this program covers the middle and northern neck counties. Your 5 division goals sound good to the ear, but how effective have they been when you will not consolidate like divisions with the county to save tax funding and stick solely with advancing the instructional system, a plus all the way around with an impact on your goals? Since when has it become the responsibility of the educational system to provide psychological and mental health initiatives to the individuals or families of the community? Don't you think you are indirectly invading the family structure and possibly its cultural lifestyle with history? In closing, this 42-page document is too long to digest in one sitting. Suggest you hold several town hall meetings over the summer so the parents and citizens can participate, since this program will impact many lives and children over the next 6 or 7 years. To not call for these forums would be an outrage of disdain for the public input. I thank you for the speaking opportunity and the time afforded.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry.
Good evening. I'm Catherine Carter from the Roans Magistrate. Controversial CRT is critical race theory purportedly taught in Virginia schools. Actually, Equity Virginia curriculum is taught, but like all valid curricula, it is based on theory, and in this case, CRT, critical race theory. Why does the definition of CRT appear in the glossary of racialequitytools.org, along with supporting definitions, including Black Lives Matter. The school board voted to implement Equity Virginia curriculum based on CRT beginning this coming fall. For a chair or any member of the school board to say they do not subscribe to CRT is a play on words. Or if they personally do not subscribe to CRT, why would they have our children subjected to it? Today, our constitutional-based God, family, country, future-focused curriculum rewards academic achievement, promotes for all unalienable rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, property ownership, the American dream, and self-determination, an inclusive, psychologically healthy outlook conducive to learning. Under equity curriculum, now adopted in Gloucester County Public Schools at taxpayer expense, and in some systems to the tune of $3,000 of training to indoctrinate teachers to reverse the healthy classroom outward future-focused atmosphere to a backward binary-focused atmosphere of introspection, self-hate, and racial opposition. Some psychologists have assessed fear-based hate instruction to cause mental illness, which is the antithesis of an environment conducive to learning. Ironically, last meeting on your multi-shaded blue map in the Roadmap to Equity Virginia entitled Unpacking Disproportionality of Moderate to High Virginia Black Student Suspicions, Gloucester County ranks low risk. What is disproportionality? In the case of Gloucester, the Black population is 17%.
Ma'am, your time is up.
To be disproportionate.
Ma'am,
then,
thank you for your comments.
So you are terminating.
Every speaker has 3 minutes this evening. Thank you for your
You're terminating
comments.
my right to speak.
Thank you for your comments.
Madam
this
Chair,
evening.
I move that we extend the amount of time to 5 minutes.
Thank you for
I
your
am not
comments.
surprised.
Thank
This
you
is
for your
not a
comments.
1A place.
As a reminder, this is the portion for the public comments on the comprehensive plan. So the comments right now should be for the comprehensive plan. After we close public comments on the comprehensive plan, we will open for public comments on general topics.
There's a motion on the floor, Madam Chair.
Do I have a second for Mr. Post's motion? Motion dies.
Hi all, my name is Ashley Winstead. I'm part of the Achilles School District. As a new mother of 3, my oldest is getting ready to enter kindergarten, so I've been a lot more interested in what the school board is planning to do. And I took a look at your plan and just wanted to offer some feedback moving forward. I would like to echo the gentleman who spoke early that I thought the details were lacking in how you measured your success by marking items complete. Perhaps they are in other documents, but they're difficult or impossible to find. So I would suggest linking them so that parents can fully educate themselves on what you did classify as success or complete. Examples may be when you said you monitored or looked at curriculums or classroom tools, resources that they had. Did you look at one classroom, all 5th graders at one school, all 5th graders in all the schools? All of those details were unclear. So I would just like to see more of that information. I also would like to point out, I talked a lot about math and science being below the national and state averages, and you needing a lot more resources in those areas. But then I saw a lot of action taken on the behavioral side of the actions needed to include paid positions and where a lot of the funding went. So from my perspective reading it, I wanted to know where was the data to drive funding in the behavior section versus the math and science section? Was there a risk assessment done to determine which one actually was a higher need? And was the same tool used in every single situation with all parties to take out the bias or any, opinions that would maybe gear you to make a decision more heavily in one way than the other way? And so, as a taxpayer and a mother who will have children in that, I would like to see the facts, the data, and I'm sure you have it, but putting that out where I can find it, that would be really helpful. And so honestly, tonight, I don't think I had the information to say, yeah, please pass this plan, because I couldn't find the information I was looking for. So personally, I would say don't pass the plan without providing that level of information so we can all get on board or perhaps provide additional solutions to make us all on the same page of where we're providing our resources. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak on the comprehensive plan? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Craig Bates. I'm a new resident here in ARC, in Gloucester here. Thank you for letting me speak. I'd like to know what is the school board definition of survey of the African American history? Why the racial division in this climate of political and racial divisiveness? Are we not all Americans? Or is this an opportunity to insert critical Marxist race theory, Equity of Virginia, and 1619 project into the curriculum? This is supposed to be an education, not an indoctrination. Let the children be children. My grandmother was a teacher here 100 years ago. Her grandfather was Lieutenant William Jones Baytop, CSA of Springfield Farm, and killed in the Battle of Seven Pines in 1862. T.C. Walker was born on Springfield Farm in 1862 and tutored by Major Benjamin Bland, CSA, and Brigadier General William Booth Taliaferro, CSA, cousin of Lieutenant William Jones Baytop, my great-great-great-grandfather. Esquire Walker opened the one-room schoolhouse my grandmother taught in. Imagine that, former slave, educated and sponsored by two former Confederate general officers. Will historical facts such as this be part of the survey, or the false narratives of CRT, Equity Virginia, and 1619 project, using skin color to determine their place in society? My grandmother taught the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, not the 3 D's, division, disharmony, and discontent. She and her 4 sisters were very proud of their heritage and family history here in Gloucester, and spoke of it with love and affection. I listened to their stories as a child and inspired to come and live here as a result. The kindness, generosity, dignity, respect, and positive attitude have made me love it here. It is my hope that our children's future will be as hopeful and blessed. Thank you. God bless America.
Is there anyone else wishing? Yes, ma'am. Yep.
I just have basically a bunch of questions. I think I took a glance at the comprehensive plan, and I have a question. I was confused about whether or not, was this about letting school children opt in for online classes in the high school, and then I read something about kids being in school in the kindergarten area, but high school or middle school or what? You don't know what I'm talking about?
No, ma'am, that would be the virtual learning plan.
Virtual learning?
Yes, the comprehensive plan is the plan for the schools for 2021 through 2027.
I didn't hear you, ma'am.
That would be the virtual learning plan. The comprehensive plan is the strategic plan for the schools through 2027.
Okay, so you do have a virtual learning plan that's offered to ages what and above?
That is for our middle school and high school students.
Middle school and high school, and it's optional?
It is, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something that we just need to be concerned about. Did you take out a higher math class so that you could teach at Virginia Ed Equity, AKA critical race theory?
So,
Did you all
ma'am,
remove
public
a
comment isn't a Q&A session.
Excuse me? I can't understand.
Public
you.
comment isn't a question and answer session.
Well, all right. I'm publicly commenting.
Okay.
Okay. Are
And
you
ma'am,
going to
we do need your name for the minutes of the meeting.
say what? Oh, Nancy. Thank you.
And your last
Nancy
name?
Rader.
In your district?
Pardon me?
Your district.
Gloucester, courthouse area?
Thank you.
Okay. Are you allowing kids to attend this year without masks so that they can breathe and get oxygen to the brain, which is critical for learning? Okay. And I think that was all of my questions, and I have questions about the racial equity tools glossary as well, and which definitions you're planning to teach the children in the future, you know, about oppression and whiteness and black, anti-black and power and microaggression. And so I wonder if this is all in your plans, because it's all in here, which is part of the Virginia Ed Equity program that y'all are planning to implement. So that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Any other comments on the public hearing for the comprehensive plan?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Druin, and my district is, I live off of Providence Street in Hayes. I have a question, well, I have an opinion and a question about the higher math classes that are being considered to be withdrawn from our school systems. I am a math major. As a school student, had a 4.0 through my entire career of school and education. And I was able to excel because of the higher math classes that were available to me when I went to school. And I feel if these classes are dropped, we are depriving our kids from higher education. They may inquire by having these courses. I know that I would have not gone as far as I did in education if I didn't have them offered to me at the high school level. To take away the chance of excelling our children, to consider racial problems, which are problems in the family, in my opinion, not educators' problems. I mean, yes, it's all of our problems, but it starts from home. But the education starts from school, and that's what this county should be interested and interested only. Thank you.
Is anybody else wanting to speak on the comprehensive plan? Seeing nobody approach the podium, I'm going to close in-person comments on the comprehensive plan. Ms. Dayhu, did we have any phone-in comments on the comprehensive plan?
We did not, Ms. Rice.
All right, thank you. I'm going to close the public comments on the comprehensive plan. We'll now move to...
Madam Chair, may I ask a couple questions on the comprehensive plan?
This isn't our board topic this evening. we will have board discussion on the comprehensive plan on our agenda.
May I just take a personal privilege here and just
What's your question?
Yes, a few years ago, I personally attended, there were groups, sessions that were open to the public for the shaping and molding of the comprehensive plans. Did we have that occur this time around? Dr. Clemens?
No, we do not, Mr. Post. What we did this year, because of the pandemic and moving through, we have it available on our website. We also have a place where anyone from the entire community can provide feedback on the comprehensive plan. And just to provide a little clarity earlier, the comprehensive plan is not scheduled to be adopted this evening. The comprehensive plan was put there to allow people to provide input from the community as well as our staff. If there were comments coming from that, then we would take a look at those things and see how those things could be incorporated potentially into the comprehensive plan. It is actually the process of having an adoption of the plan at our July meeting. Comments can still be taken on the comprehensive plan up through June 17th. So you are correct in one sense in terms of, in the past, we've had previously groups that would be able to come together to provide input. This time we're allowing anyone to provide input, and we will take those comments and then look to see how they can be incorporated into the plan.
So is there any way that we could do that again and allow, we can all we can invite the public to attend. It can be kind of like a back and forth. Everyone can kind of give their opinion on things, the curriculum, the comprehensive plan. That way we can come up with better solutions and whatnot.
That is at the discretion of the school board.
Would the board?
No, let me be clear again. Any of you at this point in time have an ability, anyone, to go and look and provide feedback on any element of the comprehensive plan. And we welcome that feedback. It does not necessarily mean that you have to be face-to-face to provide the feedback. We're providing everyone an opportunity to provide that feedback. In the face-to-face meetings that we've had previously, the majority of that face-to-face meeting consisted of school division employees. And we had some community input. This actually allows for a comprehensive process for anyone to provide feedback on the comprehensive plan throughout the entire community. So I would say, again, it is the intent of the school division to provide anyone an opportunity to provide feedback on the comprehensive plan via that particular avenue. In addition, if anyone wants to call and talk to a member of the executive team about the comprehensive plan, they have that ability to do so as well. So there are avenues that are there for the comprehensive plan.
So with regards to the comprehensive plan, would anyone like to do anything like that?
I would like to add it to our July agenda to discuss as a board.
But then also accept it, the comprehensive plan at the July?
What are your thoughts, board?
I mean, sorry.
What specifically are you asking for? To have another public hearing next month?
No, last time, about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we had, there was...
The input sessions?
What was that?
The input sessions?
Yes.
I think they were a great idea, but I feel like what Dr. Clemens just described provided the same opportunities, less the face-to-face.
No, not during the day. People are working.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Burek.
When we did this 3 years ago, we were developing the comprehensive plan. There wasn't one in place.
Correct.
It was starting from scratch and building the entire plan. At this point in time, we're reviewing it and adjusting it as we go for the next period of time. I think this provides more opportunity for people to provide input at any time of the day or night at their leisure, to provide phone calls or inputs via the website or phone calls to the executive team.
Madam Chair,
Right.
if I may, I would just like to say this is probably the most people we have ever had at one of our meetings in a really long time.
All right.
And
All right, thank you, Mr. Post, for your comments. Do you have a motion or anything you would like to make?
well, could you repeat that, Mr. Burek? You heard me. No, I didn't. Go ahead. And the mic.
If you'd like to make a motion, Mr. Post.
Madam Chair.
So I'd like to make a motion that the entire Gloucester County School Board hold a town hall session regarding the comprehensive plan and other issues and concerns that people in the division and in our community may have. Can I please get a second?
Is there a second for that? Motion dies. Thank you, Mr. Post. All right, we are now going to move into.
Madam
We are
Chair,
now going to move in, Mr.
could I call for a
Anderson?
brief 10-minute recess to have some?
Do I
quick
have a
discussion?
second for a 10-minute recess?
Second.
Thank you. We are now in recess.
Larry Cohen, York District, 30 years, and I'm going to take all my 3 minutes at least. This is the most hostile environment that I have ever experienced. Sitting here is just a new experience. All of you here and Mr. Clemens are the most hostile people I have encountered. You are employees of us. You are employees of us, and you treat us like dirt. You want to talk about disadvantaged? You want to talk about underserved? We, the taxpayers, we are disadvantaged. We are underserved. You want to tell us that we can't have a give and take because you don't have the guts to listen and dialogue with a group of people who are interested and active and want to be participants. We are your stakeholders. We are not your enemies, and you want to treat us like enemies. When I hear the chairperson say, this is not a Q&A, that is a dictatorship. That is exactly what this is. It is a dictatorship. When I see people on both ends of this table look at each other to see, oh, can I make a second on a motion and then back off? That's fear. I hope you're proud of that, Ms. Chairwoman. We need to have a town meeting this month. Get it organized, get it done, and get it done now. Now, I don't need to use the rest of my time because you got the message.
Good evening, Dorothy Bayford, Abington District. On May 13th and on May 25th, I sent 2 emails to the entire school board, including the superintendents, Dr. Clemens and Dr. Wagner. Those emails included links to critical race theory in Equity, Virginia. In a response email from the school board chair, Gloucester County Public Schools did not subscribe to critical race theory, I was told by Ms. Rice that the school board would not be holding a town hall to address the concerns of the citizens of Gloucester because there was no need to. Why would you not want to educate the parents, the students, and the citizens in this county? Madam Chair, you and the board continuously have maintained that critical race theory is not in Gloucester County schools. So I did my research and educated myself, and I found the following. At the May 11th school board meeting, the gifted program was presented to this board for approval. I was there and I heard every word and took pictures of the slides. The entire presentation was laced with critical race theory, which is guised under Equity Virginia. From one of the slides presented at the May 11th school board meeting, it stated, and I quote, "Teachers will become aware of their implicit bias and how it affects their teaching and create a culturally responsive learning environment," end of quote. My continued research led to the definition found on racialqualitytools.org/glossary website, which states the following, and I quote, "Implicit bias, also known as unconscious or hidden bias, are negative associations that people unknowingly hold. There is an implicit association test that you even get to take that is often used to measure implicit biases," end of quote. Further research showed on the Virginia Department of Education website has the following definition on Equity Virginia with a navigation map. Virginia's roadmap to equity shows the entire process of what will be taught in school systems throughout Virginia, from the requirements of taking surveys to completing checklists with teachers, students, and parents will educate themselves on their bias. Equity Virginia confuses the word equity with equality. In my opinion, from what I have researched, this school system supports an educational system that indoctrinates our children through an ideology that teaches racism, segregation, division, hate, and socialism. There are a series of euphemisms that are used to make this Marxist ideology sound totally innocent as equity, social justice, diversity, inclusion, and culturally responsive teaching. I am a mother of white and black children and grandchildren. I raised them to love God and country and supported each of them to know, given their own goals in life, that they could achieve anything they wanted if they were willing to work for it. Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at the times of challenge and controversy." He also said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So in closing, after hours of research and reading and finding out information, I would ask each of you, don't tell me critical race theory is not embedded, not only in the Virginia requirements of the curriculum, but also in something you have implemented in Gloucester County curriculum under the guise of Equity Virginia. No matter how you tried and continue to cover this up,
Ms. Bayford, your time is up. Thank you for your
valid
comments.
attempt to mislead the parents, students,
Bayford,
and citizens
your
is
time
astounding.
is
For an
up.
elected group of men and women responsible for educating the children of this county,
Bayford,
you have failed miserably.
Ms. Bayford, thank you.
John Meyer, Abington District, and you'll find I'm relatively quiet. Okay, you've been hearing from the citizens that are concerned about CRT and equity in the education system. And it's no surprise it's been on the national news for weeks, and now it's coming home to Gloucester. As you listen, some of you may be thinking that the citizens are misinformed, or maybe they just don't understand what's happening. Well, that should be no surprise. You haven't told them what you're doing yet. Thomas Jefferson said that a legitimate government derives its just power from the consent of the governed. When you ran for election, each of you, none of you mentioned dealing with white privilege or bringing equity to education. So the citizens did not elect you based on your stand on those policies, and you haven't told them what your stand is yet. You cannot have the consent of the governed unless the governed knows what you are doing and has the opportunity to tell you what they think about it. We, as a nation and as a county, are at a crossroads. Through our children, educators have the power to fundamentally alter our cultural and societal norms. We are being presented with the option of pursuing Martin Luther King's vision of a colorblind America, or Ibram Kendi's vision of a color-obsessed America. And the American educational establishment is leaning towards Kendi's vision. Your decision has the potential of affecting all of us profoundly. Therefore, This is not a decision for the education establishment. This is above your pay grade. This is a decision for we, the people. You need to make the relevant student and teacher curricula and training guidelines readily available on the school website so that anyone can access it. And then you have to publicize and host a citizen forum where you take the time to explain what you're intending to do and provide the citizens the opportunity to give you their feedback and critical opinions. And pay attention to what they have to say. It's officially important to all of us. Thank you.
Nancy Rader, and Courthouse. So I'll just continue. What I got from the website, page 33 of, I have a web address, about critical race theory and ed equity of Virginia. In quotes, racist beliefs and structures are pervasive in all aspects of our lives and requires action to dismantle those beliefs and structures. That is on the website for this agenda that you guys have, and you guys know it. So, yes, they do. So, all right. I do want to see the curriculum that you have planned for all of it, for the children. That is our right to see. And let's get back to some more definitions from the racial equity tools that are on this website and that are being taught through this program. Whatever you want to call it, whether you call it equity to try to make it sound equal, which means that no one can exceed any more than the other because of race, or social justice, or diversity and inclusion and culturally responsive teaching. What are these words that you're going to teach our children? Under diversity, in the second paragraph, because you have to read the whole thing, because they talk a good game in the beginning paragraphs, and then they twist it all around to get your head all screwed up in the second paragraph. And so it says in the second paragraph of diversity explanation, it says, therefore, the issue is not diversity, but rather equity. So often when people talk about diversity, they are thinking only of the non-dominant groups. So let's get back to what is cultural racism? What is whiteness? What are these? How are you going to explain these to our children? What about white supremacy culture? What about white supremacy? What about white privilege? What about white fragility? What about structural racism? What about structural racialization? Racist policies. Policies. I'm sorry, I didn't bring my glasses. Reparations, restorative justice, racism. These are just a few. Racial healing, racial identity development theory, racial inequity, racial justice.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up.
Microaggression, people of color,
Ma'am, thank you for your
comments.
comments.
Am I not a person of color?
Thank you for your comments this
What is my
evening.
color?
Thank you.
And again, power. How are you going to describe power? I want to know how you're going to describe these definitions to these children. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Clemens, Dr. Wagner, staff, citizens. Howard Maury, Betsworth. The years 16, 19, and 20 were the beginning of a new nation, bringing promise and a new life from the continents of the East. Indenture was commonplace to achieve the accomplishment of labor to produce a product. 157 years later, we became independent of the Crown. The above practice never changed. 184 years later, a civil war was fought to abolish slavery. This still did not prevent various states to segregate their population. 99 years later, segregation was abolished. So here we are today, attempting to reformulate history into colors. The problem is the equity of the design. Sample, Native American studies, African American history. Does anybody see the development of a new disparity in the combined history of the nation? There is a direct omission of Caucasian and Asian history that played an integral part in the continued development of the nation. Color has no boundary when humans are willing to take advantage of one another. During the 60s and 70s, the nation shivered on its axis. Those elected from the top down turned their backs on the very oath they swore to uphold, out not all, but some still here today. And God took a back seat in our Judeo-Christian nation. Power, control, submission, indoctrination, and incarceration was the norm. The drug society was introduced and is still prevalent today from the top down. This anomaly is economically and socially blind. Nothing has stopped this malaise growing or spreading into the soul of the nation. Tonight we have another plague at the doorstep of our society, CRT and the term equity. Who comes up with these dismissive ideologies intended to divide the population so their activist agenda can be accomplished at what cost and to whom? The German philosopher Karl Marx came up with the philosophy the government should have full control of you, your money, property, and resources. Simply put, you lose everything, including your freedom. Tonight, this board can eliminate this path of indoctrination and return to the process of teaching subjects that ensure success in our changing world. This will benefit our children in the future and not attempt to put one against another with the belief one is better than the other. If not, the recourse is simple: by the coming vote or by recall to right the ship. Equity is, quote, the state, action, or principle of treating all persons equally in accordance with the law, unquote. Is the governor and this board saying this is not the case? I thank you for the time.
Don Mitchell, York District. One thing that's becoming sort of obvious is that there's a semantic game being played. As Hayakawa said, they who control the semantic control the debate. Well, we're not going to allow you to control the debate. We're going to keep throwing back at you. I'm sorry, do I need to swallow the thing? Okay, should I start again? I beg your pardon? Did somebody there say something? I missed it. Okay. The comment that I started out with was that it's obvious to me that there's a semantic breakdown here. And as Hayakawa said, he who controls the semantic controls the argument. There's a difference between sort of critical race theory and equity, Virginia. And actually, we're not going to allow you to control the semantic. We're going to keep hitting you with the one that's being used in all the textbooks and to which Mr. Meyer referred before when he referred to Mr. Kendi. I want to tell you a little story to start out. In 1949, before most of you were born, a little boy and his mother and grandmother climbed on a bus in Queens, Maspeth, New York, to take the bus, I can't remember where. And you know how little kids are when they're 3 years old. They don't ask questions quietly. They do it very loudly. And as they got on the bus, the little boy yelled, "Mommy!" And she, "What?" She said, "Why is she black?" Well, you can imagine this was a mortifying moment for my mother. And her response was, "Because God made her that way." And that was a good enough answer for me then, and it's a good enough answer for me today. Everything I'm hearing, everything I'm watching you folks and the idiots in Washington and Richmond try to do, we're moving back to a form of tribalism. First 25 years of my life were very heavily engaged in music, and if I hadn't had a couple of throat surgeries, I'd sing this to you, but I want to remind you of a thought that came from Rodgers and Hammerstein in South Pacific. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are hardly made or those whose skins are a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you're 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. And I want to commend Gloucester High School for trying to make sure that that teaching takes place here. Thank you.
David Seabolt, S-E-A-B-O-L-T, and I am with Ware District. Board, I would like to introduce to you We the People. We the People, I would like to introduce to you our representatives. We are your constituents. You work for us. I'm not going to talk about critical race theory. You've heard a lot about that tonight. But what I am going to talk about is the fact that in 1984, I took an oath to defend this Constitution of the United States of America. And I did 24 years in the United States Navy, and I have not been relieved of that oath. Communism, socialism, Marxism, fascism, all the other isms have no place in the United States of America. And I will defend that. I appreciate the job that you all are doing, but I'm going to tell you what, when things are done to our children in school without parents knowing it, that's a problem. That is a problem. And it's up to you to fix that. Up to you. Madam Chairwoman, hard meeting tonight, isn't it? It's hard when your constituents are holding each and every one of you accountable for what you need to be doing. And we need to do that. We need to hold you accountable. I don't know if anybody's taken notes of what's been said tonight. Obviously, y'all have good memories because they have said a lot, and I think they need to be listened to. I've got grandchildren that are coming up behind me, and I want them to live in a free America that I lived in, and I will die to defend that freedom.
Hi, I'm Michelle Druin, Abingdon District. I just want to do a little of my own history. I grew up in Virginia Beach in the 60s and the 70s. I grew up when the schools were busing the kids from Norfolk to Virginia Beach. We didn't have a race problem back then. We had an angry problem of kids who didn't want to ride the buses for so long to go all the way to Virginia Beach to go to school. Because of the administrating thinking they had the right decision for the children. It was wrong, and it created controversy, and it created more problems that us as kids deserved to have to live through. I am Irish, Chippewa Indian. I'm an American citizen. And CRT is not what I want to see my current grandchildren have to succumb to. I have 11 grandchildren in Gloucester County and one more coming up. 4 have graduated and are very proud of their careers and what they learned in this school district prior to CRT. And they're not racist. I have grandchildren who are black and white. I have grandchildren who are black and Puerto Rican. My best friend in high school was Puerto Rican. My maid of honor was black. I am not racist, and my children were not raised that way. But indoctrinating CRT into our school system in any way, shape, or form is going to create the worst situation in racism I have seen in my as many years as I've lived. It is going to create a hostile school environment. And when it does, and it affects my grandchildren, you're going to see me in a court of law. That's it.
Good evening. Kenny LaRue, Gloucester Point. I've had 2 of my sons graduate Gloucester High School. I enjoyed that experience. The teachers you had up here today were great teachers, but now you're telling them they need to be taught differently. They're not doing a good enough job realizing the hate that they're trying to put in, and I think that's disgusting. You know, as taxpayers, can we pay the teachers to teach facts? 2 + 2 is 4, spelling, not a theory. Are we white? Do we live in America, a melting pot? Why are we putting labels on people? No, it's a theory. Please go to college and use your money to pay for an elective, and you can study whatever you like, but don't force these children to be hated and put in an awkward situation. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak this evening?
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ashley Crisco, and I'm from the York District. I was sitting at home tonight watching this meeting online when this board would not make a second to a motion that was made. This board tonight is sitting up here and is failing not only the kids in our school district, but also the very folks that have elected you. At any time a board member would like to hold a town hall meeting, you all should grant that request. Mr. Post, I respectfully request that you hold that town hall on your own. And I also want to take another couple seconds here to thank him for his dedication to the seat that he occupies. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else like to speak this evening?
Hi, Ashley Winstead, the Achilles School District. Back again. Obviously, the talk of Virginia equity and critical race theory is what initially sparked my interest, in addition to my children starting the school system soon. And, it's painful that we're in this situation, whether you voted for it or not. I'd like to give you an example of how we're not all racist inherently. My daughter, who's almost 5, has 40 Barbies. One is black. You know how she described to me which Barbie to grab in her pile? Mom, the one with the donut dress on. She was the black Barbie, one of 40. Mom, the one with the donut dress. That's because we're not teaching our children. Most of us are good people. The teachers are good. And we should be thanking them and not concerning ourselves with a problem that doesn't exist here. I truly believe it doesn't. And if there are individuals who have a problem, then they need to be seen the door because they're not welcome in our community. And I worry that if my children are taught this, they will be labeled, or others will be labeled. I won't say my profession, but a male once said to me, I'll pretend I'm an engineer. You must be proud you're a woman engineer. No, sir, I'm proud I'm an engineer. I worked for it, and I deserved it, and I'm smart enough. It doesn't matter if I'm a woman. It doesn't matter if you're black. If you're smart enough, you should be in the gifted program. And if you're not, our teachers are awesome, and they'll work with the students, and we should be looking at where we can put our money to help those who do need to be brought up to the basic standard of education. So maybe we should look at breaking students out more based on the needs that they need in the classroom, and not profiling based on their race or because they're a female or male or unidentified, whatever, but based solely on their merit and where they are. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anita Newcomb, Achilles School District. My two children came up from school, in the Gloucester County school system. And I know someone commented there's more people here than have ever been at a school meeting. And you know why? Because we never had to be here before. We knew what our children were being taught in school. My children were taught the same history that I was taught. We didn't have to worry about it, but we are in unprecedented times right now. This country is in turmoil, and we are just promoting that with these systems that you want to put in place. I don't have I have adopted grandchildren coming up in the school system, but I'm here tonight as a concerned citizen in what is going on with this country, and especially what is going on in Gloucester County right now. And it is time that as citizens, we step up and hold you accountable, because you are elected officials, and for you not to listen to what we have to say, because that is all we are asking. It's that you listen, and for you to deny a public forum for us to speak is unspeakable of you, because elections will be coming up again, and citizens of Gloucester County will remember this, and it is your duty to listen to what we as citizens have to say. That's all. Thank you.
My name is Joanne Jones. I'm in the courthouse district. I'm not going to talk about a lot of the things that they've already talked about, because I think they nailed it on the head, and I don't think you need to hear it anymore. But I am going to say something to each and every one of you. You know, in the Bible, it talks about when a person comes and tells their side of the story, they seem right at the time until you hear the other side. And this is the other side. And I ask and I implore each and every one of you to sit and think about what each of these citizens have told you here tonight, have taken time out of their work schedule, have put dinner on the back burner, have came here, some of them with their children, because they care. They're not out to burn you at the cross. They're passionate because they see something like a mother when they see their 18-year-old getting speeding tickets and saying, hey, this is not good. This is going to hurt your future if you don't stop it. And that's what I believe we're trying to tell you guys. We see something going on that is not good. And I just ask you from the bottom of my heart to just think about what these people have told you today. I came from a large family. Neither one of my family members, my mother and father, neither one of them had a high school diploma. My father had a first grade education. There was no time for schooling. I don't even know how I made it through high school if it wasn't for the dedication of my teachers, because I had to work. But I did it. And I went to college. And I have 11 children. And I have 8 grandchildren. If one is given the opportunity, that's all that people want, is the opportunity. Not to be segregated for anything, regardless. Somebody told me the other day, oh, they shouldn't be allowed to say this on Facebook. I said, whoa, you can't say that. Because how do you know that you're not going to be the next person someone says, you can't say that anymore? That's what makes us so unique. That's what makes us so different. That's what makes us so hated by so many other countries in this world. Because we value each other. My prayers are with you. And it's not an easy job, but I really hope and pray that you guys will listen to what was said to you here today. And it was said from the bottom of their hearts. Thank you.
Seeing nobody else approach the podium, I will go ahead and close public comment, in-person public comment. Ms. Dayhu, did we have any call-in?
No, ma'am, we did not.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dayhu. Just hold on, Mr. Post. Just a couple of comments. We heard a lot of information this evening from our guests at our meeting this evening, and I need to clarify quite a few points. We've stated unequivocally over and over that we have not adopted equity VA. We have not voted on equity VA. We have stated that we are not implementing CTE. We have stated that we won't implement any curriculum that divides our students into any type of oppressor or victim grouping. We have stated this over and over to anybody who has asked us. We have stated that we will not allow political movements to alter our commitment to serving every student in our community. Many of the websites that were cited this evening, that were read from this evening, are not Gloucester County Public Schools websites. So I don't know how else to unequivocally state that these are not policies that our board supports. And I don't know if any other board member would like to make a comment. Ms. Parker?
Madam Chair, anyone that knows me, I've been on this board for a while, and I truly, truly care about the kids in this school system and every other school system around us. I don't really understand some of the confusion and some of the issues that have been brought forward. I'm concerned that we obviously have a problem within our community with communication. That is obvious. I'm hopeful that we can work through those issues. But anybody that really knows me and knows why I sit on this board absolutely knows that I care about the kids. I am upset, just like some other people are, that we do not have as many vocational classes that we've had. I know that was brought up tonight as well. That is something that I'm hopeful that we can work on. We've got to work through our differences, but yelling at us and us yelling back at you doesn't get anywhere. I really feel strongly that we can work this out, but you need to understand that what Ms. Rice is telling you is what we know to be a fact. So I don't know how else, I don't know if any other board member can can say anything. I do want to address, Dr. Clements, though, the math issue. Could you speak on that? Because I know that has been a great concern as well as it was to me when I heard it. I can tell you, I started making phone calls.
Can you all hear me?
Upset me.
Can you hear me now? Is that better? Yeah, I'll just provide you some insight about that. That's something that has been discussed about looking at the math curriculum that was initially expressed in conversation in the Commonwealth. And I've heard that same thing about maybe communication that looks to appear that we would be removing advanced level math classes and looking at different types of things that would create more of a balanced type of assessment. From Gloucester's perspective, we're not removing any math classes that are upper level math classes. The information that's come down from the Commonwealth in looking at a balanced or a different type of process will take years, even in terms of looking at what may come into fruition at some point in some time that the school division would have to consider. But I can tell you from this point, there's no recommendation that's coming from us to do anything with looking at removing some of our upper level math classes. That's just not what we are scheduled to do. So I just want to make sure that I provide that clarity to you all. The other thing that I'll say to you, and I'm going to go a little bit off script here for just a minute, so if you can bear with me for this. One of the things that I want you to know is that I see that there's a lot of tension here, and I see that there are people who are, on different sides of the fence, and everybody is entitled to their own disposition or opinion. I will tell you, however, though, from my 7 years that I have been in Gloucester as superintendent, I have not seen a community that I would describe as being racist. I have been treated very fairly, as I would say, if anything, Gloucester has been a shining example of looking at providing opportunities for everyone, no matter what disposition you are, because think about it. I'm an African-American superintendent in a predominantly non-African-American community. So if you're going to think about it from that standpoint, that within itself would show that Gloucester is a place that looks at everybody and not judging by the content. You're judging by the content of their character instead of judging by the color of their skin. That's evident. And I think that there's a lot of things that are going on related to certain, curriculums. And I understand, from the things that I'm hearing this evening about, there's a common theme that people want to make sure that all people, no matter what race, color, creed that you are being treated with decency and respect. And there's a way that we can utilize a framework in working with all of our students. And so that's what we're going to be committed to, and trying to make sure that those type of things happen here. So I can assure you of that. That's what we're trying to do. It may be in looking at how things are coming across. There are lots of things that this country is facing. I understand the critical race theory, and I understand all of these other types of things. I understand when people get upset and they're passionate about certain things, and everybody has a right to be passionate. But I do want you to know, coming from, this chair, as a superintendent, I generally and wholeheartedly want what's best for every student in this community. Like I said, my child has been in this school system since kindergarten. And if I felt that there was something that was inappropriate happening in the school division, my child wouldn't be in Gloucester County Public Schools. Because what you want for your child is what you want for everybody else's child. And so I believe, too, that there are sentiments and there are emotions, and I think that people should be given every opportunity to share those emotions and sentiments, and you all have done that. But I do want you to know that it is, our desire to try to create the best opportunities for all of our students, no matter what race, color, or creed that they are. And I think sometimes even when thinking about what I've heard related to the gifted program, someone alluded to it this evening. If you think about gifted and you think about underrepresented, okay, gifted and underrepresented, if the majority of a community is of a certain ethnicity or race, then it would be all. And I know that sometimes some of the language may say underrepresented populations dealing with Hispanic, African Americans, Latino, whatever, non-Caucasian. But in my mind, making sure that all means all and underrepresented, that means everybody. That just doesn't mean, so that may not be what that is looked like in that particular entity, but when I look here, it's all. So underrepresented in my mind means children of all, the whole community. And, so there are some things that I think that we have to continue to look at to try to articulate and to explain. But I just felt that I wanted to say this, like I said, normally we don't respond to public comment, and I want you to know that's a framework. That's not the school board trying to stonewall anybody or not trying. Public comment is for the public to comment, for the school board superintendents to reflect. It has not been a protocol to be in a back and forth type of dialogue. So I want you to know when school board members don't comment, they're not commenting against you because they don't want to talk to you. That's the framework of meetings that happen. And I've heard things about, 7 o'clock meetings and 5:30. There's some additional discussions that will happen in those type of things, but I just want to make sure that I've got the audience. I can let everybody see that. That will be dialogue that the school division will have some time to talk about. But the reason why, and because we got enough of an audience to be able to share these things, the reason why we moved from 7 o'clock to 5:30, it wasn't because of trying to shut the community out. In those meetings initially, there wasn't a significant difference of members who are from the community that showed up at 7 o'clock meetings as opposed to 5:30 meetings, okay? When we chose to go to a 5:30 meeting, we went to the 5:30 meeting because we have other elements. We have staff members, as you all have seen this evening, that present. We have our school board representative who's a student who needs to get home at a reasonable time. There are many things that, contributed to moving to a earlier time, because then we wanted to get people out in decent times as well. So there's more to it than just saying that we didn't want to have a 7 o'clock meeting because we didn't want the people to show up. I've seen it both ways, and there hasn't been a discernible difference between people who have shown at 5:30 meetings as opposed to 7 o'clock meetings. But as somebody said, I think these are the types of conversations that, when people understand, you may walk away with, we can agree to disagree. But I think at least knowing, those comments. And I can tell you, every member on the board, the board members don't have to always agree on every single thing, but from the ones that I've worked with, they are genuinely concerned about doing the right thing for Gloucester County. And it's apparent that you all are wanting to do the right things by Gloucester County also. Do the right thing. Madam Chair. Yeah, so let me just stop there, but I just wanted to try to provide some context to you all from that, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Clemens.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Post.
So, all righty. Hang on here. Hang on, folks. So I think that there was a lot of things said about this critical race theory, Gloucester County Public Schools. The message was put out that we do not intend for it to become involved with our school division. So I think the first thing that we can do to kind of put this in stone, instead of just blasting out a message on Facebook, is that I would like to move that the Gloucester County School Board develop a official policy or stance on critical race theory and to be voted on and discussed at our August meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Post. Can I get a second for that?
I second that with a
You, Mr.
caution
Anderson.
that critical race theory is probably one of the hardest things you define. And of all the definitions I heard tonight, very few, if any, were close to the actual definition of critical race theory. So I'm all about, hey, can you call order, Madam Chair? You know, we put up with a lot of stuff, and I'm here for y'all. I really am. But we got to have some order, and we got to have some back and forth. No, I think, okay. So I'm going to say a couple things. No, actually, sorry, I was in the middle of that. I'll second that motion, but I think it's going to be way tougher than anyone envisions. But I'm certainly willing to
Mr.
take
Anderson?
that on.
Thank you, Mr. Post. Mr. Anderson, is there any additional discussion? Okay. Ms. Parker, it's a motion to develop a policy, an official school board policy against critical race theory. So, excuse me, I need order in the audience. This is a school board meeting. We have specific business that we need to get through, which means I need order in the audience. Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Post.
Madam Chair, I think Mr. Anderson had a great point. This is a very complex thing that, I'll be honest with you, I don't have all the answers. I'm not a scholar. I don't exactly know all the intricacies about critical race theory, but I do know that there's a lot of people upset about things, and I do believe that we need to have a back and forth conversation and work towards solving these problems. Whether one side is right or another side is right, we need the dialogue, in my opinion, to come to solutions. So I would like to give the board another opportunity to have a back and forth dialogue town hall. I move that this board conduct a town hall during the month of July.
I have a motion again by Mr. Post to have a town hall in the month of July. Is there a second to his motion?
I second that.
I have a second. Is there any additional discussion?
Could we take a voice vote, Madam Chair?
Is there any additional discussion? Ms. Dahu, Mr. Post has asked for a voice vote.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Burek?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker? Yes. Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Nelson?
Yes.
Mrs. Rice?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-6.
We're now going to move into Student
Madam
Advisory
Chair.
Committee items. Ms. Wilson?
Madam Chair.
We're moving into Student Advisory Committee items. Mrs. Wilson?